Now, back to Ed Flash Ferens with America's Workforce.
And welcome back to America's Workforce, where we are available on various platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Facebook, AWF Union Podcast. Just go there, and that's the same as our Twitter handle, AWF Union Podcast. Let's go to line number 3. You heard Dorsey Hager talking about this guy. His name is Greg Revard, and he is now the president, since Labor Day, I might add, of the Insulators Union, insulators.org. Greg, welcome to America's Workforce. Thanks for joining us today.
Well, thank you, and I'm happy to be here.
And Dorsey was telling me about the bar in Columbus. I guess a couple times you came to visit him. Now, we're talking off the air here. He didn't tell me that you had to pick up the bill. I didn't know that part, Greg.
Well, it's a Buckeye Hall of Fame cafe restaurant. And for me being from Michigan, I think it was a setup. And so we would go there quite often. And, yes, I got the bill. And I always got a big chuckle of it because those guys have a big smile on their face. And I would have done the same thing to Dorsey if the situation would have been reversed.
Oh, that's funny. Funny stuff. So talk to me about yourself. I know you served in the military. You served in the Navy in the mid-'70s, but you got into the trades before that time. Let's go back to that time and talk to our listeners about that.
Well, my father was an insulator along with my uncles and other family members. And when I got out of high school, I went to work for the laborers local here in Saginaw, Michigan. That was local 1098. And I worked there for about a year. And then I went into the service. And when I came back out, I returned working for the laborers, but work was slow at the time. So my father had got me the opportunity to go work for the insulators. And I went back and forth between the laborers and the insulators from 1978 to 1982. And then I was accepted into the apprenticeship program. And I've been with the insulators ever since then.
And as far as moving up the union ladder, I was just reading some of your bio, and it seemed like it happened pretty quickly. Did you just feel real comfortable with the insulators and the people around you at that time? Maybe you can go back to that era and recreate it for us.
Well, what really got me involved with the insulators union, when I came out of the service, I had saved my GI Bill to do an apprenticeship with the insulators, and I started it. As I got halfway through there, I was notified by the federal government that our program did not qualify with the Bureau of Apprenticeship Training, that we had never properly registered our program, and I had to actually pay all the money back that I got for my on-the-job training with the BAT, and that was a hardship at that time. So I decided then that that's something that should never happen to anybody else, and I was going to be involved in the local union, and the first thing I was going to do when I got my journeyman's card was run for the apprenticeship committee and register our program. Did that, and since then, our program has been a recognized registered program with the Bureau of Apprenticeship Training.
Good. Now, 5 years ago, now you were what, Secretary-Treasurer, and then you became president over the Labor Day weekend, is that right?
That's correct. I worked as a General Secretary-Treasurer for our union under the leadership of President James McCourt, and then he decided to retire, and we had talked about what would be an appropriate date for him to retire, and I told him that I felt that he's worked his whole life on behalf of labor, that Labor Day would be an appropriate day for him to retire, and he agreed, and so he announced it. And then upon his retirement, the General Executive Board of our international union unanimously voted to have me fill the remainder of his term as General President.
Now, how was the transition? It sounds like you worked together a long time. You were pretty acquainted with what he was doing. How's it going so far? You got about, a month under your belt here?
Well, it's going great. And actually, our General Executive Board advanced International Vice President Doug Gamble from the Western States Conference to the Secretary-Treasurer's position. And Doug and myself together, we have been making transitional changes within our international union as far as staff. Some people have decided to retire, and we have people that we're bringing in and getting them set up in different areas of our union to service our membership.
Gotcha. Well, there's a lot of changes going on right now, and obviously you throw in a pandemic, and you got even more changes. How are you able to adapt to this environment? And part of this is kind of a two-part question. You got to have some goals in mind. I mean, you just took over the helm here. What are you working on? What would you like to accomplish here?
Well, the goal that I have for our international unit is the same goal that's shared with the rest of the officers, and that's to organize our competition in our industry and to bring them up to our standards. We have members who've been involved in our local unions, and they came in through organizing. They've been a great asset. So our primary focus is going to be on organizing, education, and training.
Organizing, education, and training. I see the Tradeswomen Build Nation conference is coming up, and Gina Walsh was on our show. In fact, we're going to bring her back during that week, the week of October 12th. And I've seen so many trades reaching out to people of color, of women. It's important that we get them energized, and I mean, I don't have to explain the benefits and the pathway to the middle class for the trades. I'm just wondering if that's at the topping your list here moving forward. What's your point of view on all that?
Well, I think it's a great event, and Gina Walsh is a perfect person to be representing our female members of our union and to help grow this event. She's a rock star, in my opinion. She's a pioneer. She came up through the ranks and file and when it was unheard of for women to be at the trades, and she's had a successful career. And she's served well for not only her local union, but the Building Trades Union in St. Louis. And as you know, she was a state senator who's just been recently termed out, and we're more than fortunate to have her come on staff with our Labor Management Cooperative Trust.
Yeah, she is a dynamo, no doubt about that. So you feel good? You feel good moving forward here with the Insulators Union? You got enough support there? I guess you got to have people around you in order to accomplish what you want to do. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel really great. The transition is going well. We've been very, very supportive of the membership and the officers. And even though we've had this COVID pandemic that we've had to deal with, we are meeting weekly with the General Executive Board, trying to find ways that we can socially distance our members, but let them still have as much autonomy in their local unions as possible, making changes to our Constitution bylaws on a temporary basis so these locals can continue to function and be strong and independent.
Yeah. One thing the pandemic has done, it's cut down on traveling, and everything has gone virtual. How are you able to adapt to that? That had to be a challenge in itself.
Well, we're working from home. We have some people who still come to the office, but there's only like 2 people at a time, and they're taking care of business. But everything has been done by phone. We found Zoom now, which we never had, and other types of media that conduct business. And we're going to do it in a safe as possible manner, and we're trying to take ideas and share it with the membership and how they can go to work and work safely and still, come home to their families.
Yeah. Well, Greg, you sound real comfortable in that position, and you got a lot of history behind you. And I'm just wondering, one more question here. Your service in the military, specifically in your case, the Navy, I would imagine that had to help you too, as far as the discipline and all that. I'm not saying you were undisciplined, but I'm just speaking to a lot of, and there's a lot of military folks that transition into the building trades. I'm just wondering how that affected you personally.
Well, I credit the military for a lot of my self-discipline that I've had that's helped me to advance throughout our union and in the trades. And matter of fact, is this year, there's the next journal that we have come out for our membership for the first time in the history of our international. We have a special edition, and we're going to feature all our membership, both past and present, throughout the U.S. and Canada, who have served in the military, and we're dedicating this next journal to them, and we're going to recognize them for their sacrifice that they've made on our behalf.
There you go. heroes in so many ways. Greg, I thank you for your time. Let's keep in touch. Insulators are a big part of America's workforce. You know Pete Almini, you know Gina Walsh. We're going to keep this conversation going, make sure we get a lot of people employed. And, again, it's all part of that pathway to the middle class. So you take care, my friend. Be safe and stay in touch, all right?
Thank you very much. You have a great day.